Sitting has become the smoking of our generation.
Yikes.
That statement hit me pretty hard.
What is the perfect bite? That mix of flavors, textures, colors, and aromas that come together in one amazing amuse-bouche. Big ideas expressed in small bites. That's our podcast, a variety of inspiring topics to make your financial goals and dreams a reality.
Brought to you by Clark County Credit Union for your weekly serving of food reviews, financial education, and life hacks that your future self will appreciate. It's the perfect bite of interesting information to start your week. Welcome to episode 72 of The Perfect Bite. I'm Crystal Price.
And I'm Shannon Hiller. Let's dig in.
We love trying new dishes here at The Perfect Bite, and today we're talking about locally owned, woman-owned, twice baked. Next, we're going to talk about how to pay for going back to school as an adult and whether it's worth it. And finally, we're going to share how turning your next meeting into a walk can help you be more productive and healthy.
Each week on The Perfect Bite, we'll visit a locally owned Southern Nevada restaurant that we hope you'll try and will become your new favorite. This week, we're sharing a spot that is new to us, Twice Baked. I just drove by it the other day. It caught my eye, and so I went back for lunch with my husband. It's owned and operated by the coolest lady. I asked her how she comes up with all these recipes. She's like, in my mind. Like, I just come up with everything, and I'm like, oh, so you're like the owner, and we just started chatting. It's known for their baked potatoes that are huge, but they also use the same toppings to make tacos or crispy rolls, like a wonton wrapper around it. So it's really good. So it's just the crispy rolls have a meat mixed with cabbage, shredded cheese, and then they're served with a sweet and spicy dipping sauce. So we decided to order half a potato because we wanted to try more options and also some crispy rolls. And the really cool thing about this place is they also have vegan cheese and sour cream, as well as vegan protein options. So I unfortunately am not having dairy, but I still like to have regular meat. So I could just kind of mix and match, and they were happy to just customize it for me. So I ordered a Leah's pulled pork gourmet potato with vegan cheese and vegan sour cream, but real pork and real bacon and real green onions. And so then my husband got a carne asada potato with vegan butter because he loves me and knew I wanted to try it. And both of them were so good. I'm not really like a baked potato person usually. Like, are you?
I
like,
am a baked potato
okay.
person.
Well,
yes, I love potatoes.
Like, I don't know why it sounded so good, but maybe it's because the weather is getting all like chillier or something. Just sounded like comforting. So the full-size potatoes, they were a little bit more expensive than I thought. They were going to be like $15 to $18, and they also have lobster. On Fridays and Saturdays. So these are not your like regular baked potatoes, people. And also I know vegan ingredients can be expensive too. So true. I think the price just reflects the quality of the ingredients that they're using. And I literally loved it so much that I did a baked potato bar for my extended family dinner this last Sunday. And I had chili. I made homemade chili. We had pulled pork, bacon, all sorts of yummy toppings. And it was so cute. My father-in-law got so excited. We get together a lot. We kind of have like standard stuff. And literally I had to look up how to bake a potato because I have not made them in probably 15 years. And then my sister-in-law looks at my 14-year-old goes, has your mom ever made baked potatoes? And he's like, no. It's like, I don't know. I just don't make potatoes very much.
So delicious. And I'm like, okay, well, when can I plan a baked potato bar?
Yeah.
Because this is
great. Everybody, it's delicious. So it was just like comforting. And so I did just for how I baked them. I always thought you wrapped them in foil is what my mom always did.
Yeah.
But all the recipes I looked up said, don't do that you're steaming it and the skin should be crispy. And so you just cleaned them off, coated them in like olive oil.
Okay.
And a lot of salt.
Okay.
And then you can just put them on a pan or put them directly on the rack and cook it for an hour at 400. This is a cooking show now. Yeah.
Okay.
So, and because some people like to
foil.
eat the skin.
Yeah,
and
no, I do.
Yeah.
So that sounds really good. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just stick them in there. And I cooked them for an hour, and they were perfect. And
I have a bag of potatoes at home that I'm going to do tonight.
Do it. It's really good. So when we go back, I will get the Bacon King. It says bacon twice, so that has to be delicious. I would definitely, of course, get the vegan cheese for myself. And the crispy rolls, they were super delicious and honestly a surprising item on the menu because I was like, you could honestly take all these toppings and turn them into other things, but they were just really perfectly crispy and delicious, and the sauce was great. So I would get those again too. If you have a recommendation for a restaurant or dish for us to try, please send us a message at theperfectbite@ccculb.com. We are always open to your ideas. So next up, we're talking about a topic that one of our employees at Clark County Credit Union submitted, asking for tips on paying for college when you go back to school and whether it's really worth it.
A college degree can be both rewarding and challenging to achieve for adults who may be juggling family and work responsibilities. The traditional path to college is attending right after high school, but for some, this is either not an option or maybe they stopped before finishing a degree. So we received the question or the submission from an employee, and what their situation was they were talking about their wife actually going back to school and how, they've got kids. And so she had to juggle, her regular schedule of being basically a stay-at-home mom. He comes to work every day, how they rearrange their schedules and whether or not it was really worth it, and how at the end of everything for her, it was very much worth it. She ended up going for her, I believe, her master's and her doctorate. So she's now doctor.
Wow.
in her title. And so, yeah, it was very fulfilling. I guess there's, a lot of sweat and tears in between. I've got like a similar story of going after high school and then stopping, raising a family, and then, 5 kids later, going back to school. And yeah, it was really rough to kind of juggle everything that comes with going to school, doing the homework, attending classes, getting your work done at, having a regular 9 to 5. So if you're planning to head back to college, we've compiled some things for you to consider that may benefit you and kind of make the transition a little bit better. In my opinion, I think it is definitely worth it, but everyone is different. So let's check out these recommendations and see if this is something that you could do if going back to school is something that you're considering. The first thing is really the cost. Okay, can you afford to go back to school? According to U.S. News, the cost of tuition has long been on the rise, and it's up more than 150% in the last 20 years. So that's huge increase. For in-state tuition, full-time for 1 year, the cost of a student going to UNLV, so our local school, is $8,737.
I bet CSN's probably half of that, less. Right? Half at least.
And for adult learners, the cost of college may go beyond books and housing on top of tuition. It might also include lost wages, transportation, childcare costs, and even student loans. For me, when I went back, I was like a mortgage loan officer at a branch. And I lived in Centennial, and UNLV, as you know, is not in Centennial. So I had to count in that cost of transportation, driving back and forth to UNLV, like an hour, and then missing out on sleep. There was childcare. I had to make sure that the kids had somewhere to go. My husband is working, I'm working. So it was a lot of juggling. There was that added expense to consider. I eventually decided to switch to an online school, which helped kind of ease some of those stresses. So that's also an option as well. There's a lot of online schools now available. So if you decide to go back, think about these things. Skills and education can open doors. So, once you get those skills, once you get that education, you can potentially get more income to afford these costs. You want to plan and budget in advance. You also want to check out some of the tax benefits or deductions. That was something that I was also able to do. So when I did go to school and when I filed my taxes, there's a section on there that asks, are you going to school? And so I was able to get cash reimbursement when I filed my taxes.
And when you're paying off your student loans, if you do get loans, there is a tax deduction there as well.
Yes. And you may even qualify for grants for being a working adult and going back to school. So there's a lot of things out there. You want to make sure that you complete your FAFSA for any additional funding that you might qualify. And then, of course, look into scholarships. At the credit union, we offer a Smart Start scholarship, and there is no age restrictions. The last round, I know we did have a couple of working adults who mentioned, having a kid at home themselves, having a wife, having their regular job. So there are things out there, you just have to go out there and find it. Another thing to consider if you're planning on going back to school is having a support network. So school in general can be very challenging. You want to make sure to get your family and friends involved and set those expectations. Maybe you're somebody who normally goes out on the weekends with your friends and hangs out and stuff, and maybe letting your friends in, let them know in advance, hey, I'm going back to school, I'm not going to be able to hang out as much as I have in the past, but I'm still your friend. Wait until after exams are done and we'll go hang out as we normally do. And if you can't find a support system with your friends and family, an alternative is maybe even going to online forums like Facebook and finding a group of fellow students, or within your university, finding people that are going through the same thing as you are for that encouragement. Another recommendation is to consider time constraints. You want to look deeper into what is involved with going back to school. What available time do you actually have? It's more than just attending class. It's also doing the study, doing homework assignments. A typical college semester lasts around 15 weeks. So can you fit that into your schedule that you have now? And then last recommendation we're going to talk about is college support services. So it's highly recommended to find colleges that provide support services like mental health counselors, childcare, food pantries, and other necessities. I actually did interviews with some local kids from Project 150, and they were, telling me about, their college experience and kind of what they found to be one of the most challenging things. And on their list, student after student, I was surprised to hear mental health was like their number one concern of what they needed. And so take that into consideration. Will you have the support that you need to get you through, 2 years, 4 years, 6 years, however many years of college that you need to finish and get that degree?
I think too, just there's a lot of online options, like you mentioned earlier, that I've actually been looking into. And something to consider too is your employer might offer some of these things, like if you're a working adult going back to school. So for example, we have our employee assistance program where you have access to mental health professionals as well as like online services to get recommendations of where to go for different doctors or things like that. So it might not all need to come from the university or college if you are
use your resources.
Looking at going back as a working adult.
And so going back to our employee's second submitted question, is it worth it? Inside Higher Ed reported that the analysis shows that about 80% of colleges provide a minimum economic return. So that makes an undergraduate degree worth the investment. Okay, you heard it here.
I wonder what minimum economic return, like you at least recover your
expenses, right, for the tuition and things like that. The analysis also shows that for the majority of students, especially those attending a public institution, having a college degree leaves them better off financially in comparison to peers who did not pursue post-secondary education. The results of the analysis also refute that growing public perception that college education or degrees is not as valuable as it once was. So that's good to know. I think that we've heard a lot of that now. Like, is it really even worth it to go to college? All I'm going to end up with is debt. Well, I mean, there is a potential to end up with debt, but if you kind of take these steps in advance and kind of plan things out, budgets and things like that, scholarships, I think so. A degree can open up opportunities for promotions, other jobs that require a degree, and often can result in a higher salary. So all in all, if you're an adult planning to go to college, try to find a college or university with flexible programs and support services. There are many online options as well that offer even more flexibility, though sometimes it might be at a higher cost. Sometimes it might be worth it. So it will pay to do your research and find the options. We're going to be right back after a message from our sponsor.
Clark County Credit Union members have received more than $73 million in bonus dividends since 2001 just for using the credit union services they need every day. Since CCCU is owned by our account holders, they earn the dividend, not shareholders. This year, we returned a $2.6 million bonus dividend to members with auto loans, credit cards, and checking accounts. Open an account today and start earning your own bonus dividend. Funds privately insured by American Share Insurance.
Next up is our Future Self segment inspired by the Happiness Project. Any of you with an Apple Watch, sorry, Crystal, may know the feeling of getting an alert to stand up. that you've been sitting too long. And I always feel a little silly when that happens. Like, oh my gosh, I'm so lazy. I'm just sitting here so long. But really, a lot of us have these desk jobs where we are sitting and we need to make a point to get up and move around. And my watch is always so proud of me when I accomplished my stand goal for the day. But it's something that we need to think about. So Nilofer Merchant, a corporate director and author of 11 Rules for Creating Value in the Social Era, suggested the next time you have a one-on-one meeting, go for a walking meeting. And this makes me think of my friend's mom. She has a group that she calls them the walkie-talkies. And every week they get together and they go for a walk and they catch up and just chat. And then you're exercising at the same time. So our walkie-talkie meetings, we need to look at those. Sitting has become the smoking of our generation.
Yikes.
That statement hit me pretty hard. Did you know nowadays people are sitting 9.3 hours a day, which is more than the hours we're sleeping, which is 7.7.
That seems like ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. But I think it's probably accurate.
Yeah, pretty close.
I mean, are we sitting or walking right now? Nobody knows. We're
walking.
We're probably, we're walking.
We're out in the
Wink,
neighborhood
wink.
right now,
We're walking.
guys.
It's just unfortunate that that's, it's affecting our health like smoking would. There's major health consequences from sitting too much, even breast cancer, colon cancer, heart disease, or type 2 diabetes. We need to just, make all of our meetings walking now. These are all directly tied to lack of physical activity. And you would think that that would motivate us, right? Like knowing that we need to be more active, but it's still difficult. I mean, when you have a job where you need to be typing, that's difficult. I know they have things where there's like those treadmill desks and things like that, standing desks that people can get. But basically, Merchant said she was invited to a meeting that changed her life. The meeting invite was like this: I have to walk my dogs. Could you come with me? And from then on, instead of going to a coffee meeting or a conference room meeting, she just asked people to go on a walking meeting. And she does about 20 to 30 miles a week.
Oh, wow.
For her meetings. It has other benefits. Going for a walk promotes out-of-the-box thinking, helps you reframe problems, and gives you fresh air that drives fresh ideas. And I think just being outside and seeing different things, like in general, creative people will create like a workspace around them that triggers creativity and colors and light and different things. And so if you get out and about, I know our CFO does this a lot. She brings extra shoes. The weather is finally good here in Las Vegas. And for lunch, she'll go for a walk.
I've seen her on the street.
Yep. And sometimes she'll invite someone else to come along and they'll have a meeting. So I think that we should all definitely try this. What do you think?
I think so. It is nice. It can be a little hard though, because like you said, depending on our jobs, I know sometimes we've tried to have walking meetings, but then sometimes it's like, well, I need access to that file because I want to talk about it.
Right. So, or I want to take notes, or maybe I'll pull up notes on my phone and do like voice to text. And there's probably ways we could work around it, but
it is nice though. I like it. Incorporating some kind of activity in the day. So we're not sitting down for 9.3 hours a day.
Yeah. I'm going to start paying attention now, and it's a big wake up call. So let us know if you try a walkie-talkie. Get your group together and have a walking meeting.
We want to hear from you. Send us your financial questions or money topics that you'd like to learn more about. And don't forget any fun local food recommendations. Our email is theperfectbite@ccculv.com.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode, brought to you by Clark County Credit Union. For additional money management tips and financial calculators, check out our website at ccculv.org. Now that was the perfect bite.